he's a good guy. He's a really good guy.
He is.
Now, to quote Charles Chuck Baker from the new Planet 51 movie, I got this far with my charm and good looks. Parallel? Possible coincidence?
I would say I got this far on my charm, good looks, intelligence, and my ability to kiss really well.
That's all it takes, really. I was missing that one important
That's right.
factor. Man,
I got
it
soft
all
lips.
makes perfectly sense right now. So, yeah, I love animation. I love
Yeah, man.
cartoons. It just reminds me of a simpler time when I was young and I didn't
right.
have the pressures of being, an adult. Does any of that weigh into when a project like this comes into, your lap?
Way in what way?
Weigh in, like, any thoughts of the children or
Oh,
when you were
sure.
younger watching cartoons?
Whenever a project comes to me, what I'd like to look at is number one, am I moved by it? Am I going to enjoy it?
Right.
And how will the audiences like it? And then, and then you break it up. Like sometimes it might be an action movie or an action comedy or just a comedy or an animated movie like this. And generally, it always comes down to, for me, our audience is going to be entertained. I first read the script. I thought it was very entertaining. Joe Stillman, who wrote the first Shrek and the second Shrek, wrote this too as well. The comedy was great. And then I saw the animation. The early animation I saw was beautiful. So, when you align everything together, you got a pretty good shot at doing something good, unless you completely screw it up.
Well, here in this case, you're like, I'm sure, will I entertain people with my voice and my voice alone?
Right.
Type of thing,
Right.
because you're wanted for that and not for your good looks or your acting ability or your
That's
moves
right.
or something like that. So, that might be a little bit of pressure to put on there.
That process in itself, that's a good point. That process in itself was a fascinating process that you learn right away, which was you get in the studio and your voice has to make the character come to life. So you have to find a lot of intonation in your voice that ranges up to here, over to here, down here very quickly, because, the characters in the animated movie, usually their facial expressions are really over the top, and you got to match that or create that.
Right.
So that process was pretty cool, and I could see why a lot of people like doing animation, animated movies, especially trying to find a character with your voice.
Yeah. Now, there was no thought of, I'm only doing this so I can get a Chuck Baker toy of myself.
Quite frankly, I don't need a Chuck Baker toy of myself. I have so many dolls of myself anyway, and they're all lined up on my ceiling. So every time I wake up, I just look up. I wake up to myself.
Is that almost like your little trophy, little trophy wall? And I don't have an animation figure myself, but I would have to think that's pretty cool.
It was really cool. For me, back in the days when I was wrestling, I had hundreds of action figures and doing a couple of like Mummy Returns, Scorpion King, things like that. So that's always really cool. They come big and small but yeah, there's nothing like waking up to yourself.
David, you ever think about this now? When you're dealing with children now, you're going to have to convince them that you are Chuck Baker with your voice. And it's just like, I'm that guy. Yeah, right, sure.
Yeah, like you sound like him.
Yeah.
No, I am, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, good to see
Thank
you,
you.
man. Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care, buddy. You too.